They say the humans are slow to anger. They say they bleed easy. They say they're fragile, bags of meat wrapped around calcium scaffolding, soaking in salt water and primitive hormones. And they're right about all of it. What they forget is that they only look fragile. And when a Deathworlder doesn't move, you should run. Let me explain. My name is Keswick of the Threx Coalition, and I was there on Cinder Prime at the Grand Arena when a human girl they called Mara did something that still makes my crest plates buzz. I was a junior tactician then, embedded with the Warlord's diplomatic corps. We were there to witness the signing of the peace trials, a sacred ritual of honor combat designed to seal treaties between apex civilizations. It was pageantry, mostly. Ceremonial combat. No deaths, just submission. Just a show. But the apex warlord? He didn't get the memo. His name was Krolta the Red Howl, and he was a colossus. 12 feet of muscle wrapped in crimson battle armor, tusks like jagged daggers, and a voice that could shatter rock. He ruled over the Skarn Dominion, whose territory stretched over 5 spiral arms. Billions bowed to him, and like most Skarn warlords, he believed only in strength. He didn't want peace. He wanted to break the human envoy. Specifically, the tiny Deathworlder girl who had come alone. Her name was Mara. She stood maybe 5'7" by her measurements, in a plain black uniform. No armor, no exosuit, no helmet, just her and a breathing mask. Oxygen mix. Earth normal. I remember my colleague Jirath whispering, "They're sending a female without armor? This is dishonor. A trick." But I watched her face. She didn't flinch, didn't look scared. She just stood there, one hand behind her back, the other resting on her thigh, like a statue. The warlord stomped into the arena, roaring, slamming his axe in the ground, sparks flying. He bared his tusks and screamed in his native tongue, translated seconds later by my embedded linguistics AI. Bend or break, meatling, choose. She didn't move, not an inch. The arena was silent. You don't understand. When a Skarn warlord roars at you, even generals flinch. Even I curled my claws around my data tablet and prayed to the core flame. But Mara, she just blinked. Then, after a long pause, tilted her head like she was annoyed, and the warlord charged. 12 feet of charging war beasts with enough momentum to punch through steel plating. I opened my mouth to scream, and then she moved, just once, just enough. She stepped sideways, one graceful pivot of her left foot, and the warlord missed her by less than a hair's breadth. The momentum carried him past her. He tried to turn. He didn't get the chance. She was already behind him. And then, crack. It was not the kind of sound armor makes. It was the kind of sound spines make when they're rotated 180 degrees in a direction they're not meant to go. The warlord's body went rigid, then limp, like a puppet whose strings had been sliced. The entire arena gasped. Even the other Skarn guards reached for their weapons. I thought for sure we were about to see interstellar war reignite. But Mara, she just let his body drop. She didn't pose, didn't gloat. She just walked over to the edge of the arena, reached for a bottle of water, and took a sip. I was shaking. My species, the Threx, are known for being cold and analytical, but I was sweating so hard my translator implant shorted. "W, what did she just do?" Jirath whispered. "She didn't fight." I whispered back. She calculated. Later that cycle, I found the courage to speak with her. I approached her ship, a small atmospheric shuttle, clearly outdated, and introduced myself as a junior diplomat. She looked me over, her blue eyes curious, but not unfriendly. "Why didn't you move?" I asked her. She shrugged. Didn't need to. He was predictable. Big things usually are. But he was the apex warlord. She looked at me for a long second, then said something that still haunts me. "Then the apex is weaker than you thought." The twist came weeks later, when we reviewed the footage. You see, Mara hadn't just reacted. She baited him. The hand on her thigh, resting in just the right way to suggest tension. The slight tilt of her head, designed to provoke aggression. The exact angle of her stance, positioned to funnel his charge into a narrow arc she could exploit. It was choreography. No, worse. It was psychological warfare. The humans didn't send a soldier. They sent a tactician wrapped in flesh. Later still, we found out more. Mara wasn't just a Marine. She was part of something called Project Red Garden, a military black cell from a planet on the edge of human space, known only as Darrow's End, a high-gravity, low-atmosphere hellworld that made Earth look like a luxury spa. Her bones had been reinforced with reactive titanium weave. Her muscles flooded with microhormonal bursts that activated only under specific triggers. She didn't wear armor because she was armor, but that wasn't the terrifying part. The terrifying part was that she'd been classified as low risk in our intelligence files. A mere liaison, a glorified diplomat. We were wrong, so wrong, because Mara wasn't the best humanity had. She was just the one they sent. And now, even the most war-hardened commanders on Cinder Prime pause when human enters a room, because we all remember the day the Deathworlder girl didn't move, and the apex warlord died screaming.